Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, Bashem HaKadosh. Double honor to the apostles and elders of great most on the real world. Shalom to all the brothers doing the work, sincerity and truth. Got this article on RT. Iran will enrich uranium up to 60% if it wants to. Khomeini warns amid discontent over IAEA deal. So, the kind of expectation, I think, what people were expecting with like the US-Iran relations with Biden getting in office and him, coming from what do you call it? From Obizi's administration, he'll be looking to go back to the same deal, which, said he's interested in. But from the Iran side, they're not, they're not looking to play ball. And it's, essentially, the way it's been as well since, DJ Trump was in office, they've been playing ball. So you're probably gonna see further. Well, we'll see how it goes. Cause this thing, the Iran side, it's more or less been under the table. Well, under the table kind of stuff. Not really evident and clear what's going down. These guys are because the situation you got in Syria, that's still there, and obviously the US is doing their thing. Russia's doing their thing. Kind of seems like a bit of a deadlock, but we know where these things are going to go. These things are going to escalate to that global conflict that's going to result in what? America getting nuked, man. So if Iran wanted nuclear weapons, it would have them. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has declared, suggesting Tehran may continue enriching uranium up to 60%. The statement followed outcry over President Hassan Rouhani's IAEA deal. Tehran's position on the JCPOA nuclear deal will not change, Khamenei said on Monday, adding that Iran will not bow to international pressure from either its European partners in the deal or the US, which is no longer party to the agreement. While the Ayatollah stressed that Iran is not pursuing nuclear weapons, he argued no one could stop the country from having them if it wanted to, certainly not the US or the Zionist clown, i.e. Israel. Only Islamic principles prevent such an outcome, he continued, adding that Iran will not limit its uranium enrichment to 20%. So, they're essentially not coming peaceably. But hey, that's how they've been. The thing is, it's really the wrestling match between Russia and the US, man. It's like it says in the scriptures for Gog and Magog. It says, "Be a guard unto them." So essentially, they're covering for be a guard. They're covering for for Iran. So if the US oversteps its bound, that's where you'll see the escalation. Khomeini's comments followed an uproar in the Iranian parliament as a majority of lawmakers voted to condemn President Hassan Rouhani for agreeing to continue allowing the International Atomic Energy Agency broad latitude to conduct inspections of Iran's nuclear facilities. The majority also called for Rouhani to be prosecuted, arguing the deal he made is a clear violation of a law passed in December that would disallow in-person inspections. Yeah, because they just said they were going to fuck off everyone. But and that's the thing. If they get a guy in that same spirit as what's his name, Ahmadinejad, because that guy was going in hard, man. That guy was going hard in the fucking paint against America. So if he's in that same spirit, then you're gonna have it where it's They ain't gonna be no peace talks, man. But like I said, these things are. It's all about prophecy, man. Because as far as prophecy is concerned, like I said, the peace. That's not how it's gonna run. Um. Arguing the deal he made is a clear violation of a law passed in December that would disallow in-person inspections by the nuclear watchdog until the US removes its sanctions. Until that law, Iran would conduct its own inspections until the US dropped its sanctions and subsequently hand the data to the IAEA inspectors. The legislators who voted to condemn Rouhani on Monday have argued the president's side deal with the IAEA is a violation of that law, while the Supreme National Security Council disagrees. The matter will be decided by the judiciary, and Rouhani could face criminal charges if the deal is found to be illegal. So, the last minute deal extends its deadline by 3 months. Yeah, so it's obviously man are talking a big game, but it's the peace ain't there. It's this thing's scary. Just like with all prophecies, everything's ramping up, man. It's clear, you know, we're in the end game now. Obadiah 1 and 7, it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Yeah, so when it comes to Esau, when it comes to his, to America, to Esau's power structure, all to that whore, basically, all them deals, the way everyone's allied, everyone's working with the US. Essentially, everyone has to deal with the US because they're the head, man. They're the global power. But what you're gonna have all the men that are confederate with thee, they're all gonna become enemies, man. That includes even Iran. They did that little deal with Iran. That thing ain't gonna stand. Even NATO, all the alliances they have between them, they're not gonna stand. These things are all gonna come to an end. It's gonna result in that everyone shooting the missiles on the states. Because that's what it's going to. Shall I not in that day, saith Yahweh, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Yeah, so what is it? Esau's all Esau's cunning, all his plans, all he's devised, these things are not gonna what's the word? Are not gonna benefit him, man. Because why? He's caught in the web of prophecy, man. Man's caught in the trap. He's already been set up. His role's been set, man. He ain't got no escape from that. Even destroy. Okay. And thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to end that every one of the mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Yeah, because Esau, all these mighty men, all these military capabilities, all these technology, all these information control, everything he's able to do. All this power, all this wisdom that that he's got, which has been essentially been gifted, man. These things were given to him. Why? For the sake of his judgment. Because why? It's like Esau's been set up. Esau's been given. First of all, he's been given, to be able to go to levels of wickedness that have never been around in the world before, man. This guy's got on the global scale. Set up America as that that mountain, that chief the chief place on the earth, just signal boosting out to everyone else. Legendary levels of wickedness, man. That same wickedness that goes on there, everyone else around the world is all following and wandering after it. But what despite all that, despite all this, it's what it's been built up for their judgment, man. So it says, in that day thou should wait. So for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Yeah. So all this, that Esau's built, it's off what? It's you go back to the prophecy in Genesis talking about Esau, and about when he's blessed with a sword. It says what? He's basically got the only way he's gonna break the yoke off his neck is utilizing that sword against his brother, man. Because why? Jake is got the blessing for the rule, the fatness of the earth. But then what? For Esau to get his time, Jake needed to go down. And that's the same with Jake getting their time. Esau needs to go down. So that's why Esau did it by violence. Broke Jake. Then what? Went in the States, used that hardcore bondage, man. Stole the land. But what? It says, in that day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou wast one of them. Yeah, so back in when Babylon was taking down Jake, Esau was reveling in it. He was partaking. And this is what we're meant to be brothers. There's meant to be that brotherly covenant. What is it? Amos, I believe. Amos 1:11. Thus saith Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Yeah, he kept his wrath forever. He pursued his brother with the sword, and that's the same vibe that was there between Cain and Abel, same vibe between Jacob and Esau, and to this day, Esau's been on that same energy, man. This is why Jake is still getting murked off by Esau in these countries. Esau's still using his systems, his draconian legislation to basically oppress and destroy Jake. That's something that's not ended. Even when it comes to that jab, same thing. It's still being pushed. But I will send a fire upon Teman, which shall devour the palaces of Bosra. Yeah, that nuclear destruction. Because what? Isaiah 54:16 says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. Yeah, so them scientists during World War II, you had what? That development of the atomic bomb, and that was the what they call it, the Manhattan Project. And then Esau, he was thinking he'd obtained, the ultimate power, man. You got the quote from what's his name? One of the Oppenheimers. I can't remember his name, but it was one of the scientists. He said, "I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." Esau was thinking that was for his benefit, but what? This is the Lord set out. The Lord had that wisdom go out and had it prepared. Why? Because there's a judgment that needs to take place, and that's why it's Iran's developing that, all these different countries, and that's something that when you deal with the end of World War II, only a few countries had it. But then after you had the fall of I believe it was around the time of the fall of the Soviet Union. That's when you had it disseminated, and you had a lot smaller countries able to get their hands on it, man. Which is why you got various other countries. Which is where it says, "What art thou become weak as we." Actually, nah, I might be remembering that one wrong. Nah, it's one I'm thinking of, but I don't think it's that one. So this is what the ways to destroy. So this is the thing. It's these things have been developed, for Esau's destruction. So these missiles. That's why these things. That's why even to this day, like Russia and America, they're trying to do that deal. The nuclear. I think it's still called the START nuclear deal, where they're basically limiting the amount of nuclear warheads they're producing. That's what it's meant to be for. But what these things aren't going to avert. Okay, Joel 2 and 3. A fire devourer. Let me start from 2. Oh, 1. Joel 2 and 1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. They have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as a garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, nothing shall escape them. Yeah. So that's why it's America. That's why it was. You go back to to when King Solomon used to send heathens over there to gather resources. It was like a paradise, man. It was like Eden. But through the process of Esau basically milking it of all form of resources, and the vile acts, the murder, the death, the unjust slavery, all these things that Esau's done in that land, that the land's been attainted, man. But what it's them flames. It's after the nukes hit, it's gonna be what, a desolate wilderness, man. It's gonna be that desert. It's gonna cease to be inhabitable. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Yeah, and it's whenever you watch, being like movies, wherever they have nukes flying off, or you can even watch like the clips of when they test like the missiles, the ICBMs, where they go into the atmosphere and they take off, man, because you're gonna have hundreds of millions of them. They're just gonna be flying off into the sky. And whenever you see, like, they'll have an image of like the Earth, you'll just see the trails of how they of where they fly, because they leave the atmosphere, then re-enter and strike, or they go into like stratosphere and then come back down. So it says, before their face the people shall be much pained, all faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march every one on his ways. They shall not break their ranks. Yeah, so they're all gonna achieve their goal, man. It says, neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. When they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. They're gonna hit the mark. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and moon shall be dark. The stars shall withdraw their shining. And Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of Yahweh is great and very terrible. Who can abide it? Yeah. So them nukes, hey, they're gonna hit. They're gonna do work. There's global conflict that's gonna result in that. This thing's gonna pop off, man. These things have been set. You go back to Old Testament up until present, up until in Revelation, man, the final book of the New Testament. It still goes into what? That judgment, man, that lake of fire, that second death. So yeah, I I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yabashim Shabashim